Hi, Thea. Welcome to another episode of Cosmic Artist. It's so nice to be here with you again, recording for May. We are in Taurus season. I love this season because it's my moon season, and I'm just so grateful for this slowdown after all the Aries energy, especially with Neptune moving into Aries as well.
Mm.
And I feel like this month will be like last month, it was a lot of returns, right? Like planets coming back to where they already had been. This month, I feel like we're getting some forward moving momentum, but we do have Pluto stationing retrograde early this month. So I think we'll get that momentum, but with a dose of, um, I don't know, the word that's coming to mind is alchemy, like changing what reality even is, changing what communities look like, changing what the story even is. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So let me
Got
pass it to
goosebumps with the
you.
word.
Let me pass it to you first. Hi, how are you? How was April for you? And what are you looking forward to in May?
April was, dude, did we say it was recalibrating? It really felt that for me.
Mhm.
Um, there was a lot of backwards, forwards, and I'm also so happy that it's Taurus season. I have my North Node in Taurus. It's helping me ground so much of my air and fire energy. And I was looking at the transits for the month, and it's not a passive month. It's not a month for us to just sit on our laurels. Like you said, there's a lot of stories, narratives, there's a lot of transformation and reclamation of worth and values and our place in the collective. But I'll probably stop there before I roll ahead with what's happening for the month.
I like where you're taking us, though. Maybe a great place to start for this month and maybe moving forward would be talking about what does the season that we're coming into even mean. So we're coming into
Mhm.
Tower season, and
Mhm.
some words that I want to give for Tower season, which you already brought up, and I'm just going to point out again. You said words like values,
Mhm.
and we're going to be noticing our boundaries, what we were talking about right before we clicked record. We're going to be noticing more of what's going on in our relationships. And what's going to be going on in our relationships, I feel like, is very clearly going to be mirroring what's going on in our own relationship with ourselves, as always, because, Venus rules Taurus and Libra.
Mhm.
And when we're looking at Venus ruling Taurus, we're looking more at ourselves, at the way we're nurturing ourselves, at the way we're loving on ourselves, at
Mhm.
the way that we're building solid ground for ourselves, at the way we are manifesting, those sparks that we got in Aries season to make something tangible, to bring something physical that we can actually hold and see and feel and
Mhm.
understand the texture of. I love the word texture. You know that. I've been bringing it up a lot. But what do you want to say about Tara season? How do you feel about it? What are some of the keywords that are coming up for you?
I'm loving how it's really about planting seeds.
Mm.
And especially for this Taurus season, we're coming into it with still a lot of Pisces stellium. Pisces is mutable water. Pisces has a lot to do with creativity, mysticism, spirituality, devotion, empathy, compassion, love. To me, it's really creatively envisioning dream seeds, like having dream seeds for a future that we are an ideal future that we aspire to have, that we are inspired to create. And then Taurus is taking those seeds and making sure that the soil is fertile, it's abundant, it's nourishing, it's healthy. Did I say fertile already? It's coming up again over and over. So that the soil is fertile enough so that those dream seeds will take root, and that root will sustain, will stabilize, will deliberately grow. These are all Taurus keywords so that they can withstand any storm. They can rise slowly, but deliberately and surely, and they will be sustained to provide abundance and nourishment for generations to come. And I like how we are that dream seed, and our visions, our creative visions, our hopes and our dreams for the future is the seed, are also seeds, and that we are also the soil. Like our bodies, our Taurian bodies, we are made of the earth. We are also the soil. We are the seed. We are the soil.
Isn't this also a great season to think about our money stories
For
and
sure.
the way we relate with money, the way we may be resisting money, even though money is something that, we all want and we're all kind of chasing after? I feel like Tower season is a good one to stop chasing and start noticing, like, what are we putting out? Like, what is the energy? What are the seeds that we're putting out when we're even saying the word money?
Mm.
Because again, like with Venus, just because Venus rules Libra, with Venus, it's mirrors. It's really like mirrors. And so the seeds that we're putting out are also the seeds that we will get to see coming to fruition come Libra season and come Scorpio season. And I mean, like you said, fertile ground. I think there's a lot to be excited for and a lot coming here. Okay, let's move into the first week of May. And
Mhm.
if you guys hear loud noises, there's some campaigning going on 35 floors down. I don't know how I can hear it through my headphones, but if you hear it, just know that that's what's going on. That's what's going on. I mean, okay, so first week of May. All right, Thea. So the first of May is on a Thursday. On Saturday, we have Venus conjunct Neptune in Aries. This is the first time that Venus is going to be meeting Neptune in Aries. We've gotten so used to Venus Neptune conjunctions in Pisces and the dreamy energy of that and the spiritual energy of that and just like the energetic signature of that. So I'm excited to hear what you have to say about Venus conjunct Neptune in Aries. And then on the 4th, which is on Sunday, we have Pluto retrograding in Aquarius at 3 degrees 49 minutes and will be retrograde until October 13. So that is a good while. I would love for you to point out how something like a Pluto retrograde is different from Venus and Mercury retrograde and how it's more of an undercurrent rather than a stop everything, don't make decisions kind of thing.
Right. Thank you for that. So let's start with Pluto first. I mean, this is the first year that Pluto is really fixing itself in Aquarius. And the thing with Pluto, because it's a transgenerational planet, meaning it's beyond the bounds of Saturn. It used to be in traditional astrology that Saturn was the last of, like, Saturn is the last of the traditional planets. Everything after that did not exist before. So Saturn, if we think about, if we look at it energetically, Saturn has rings. Saturn reminds us that we too have rings, meaning we too are bound by certain things like karma, gravity, like the laws of thermodynamics, the laws of the universe. It teaches us structure, it teaches us limitation. In the same way, Pluto also acts like Saturn in the way that it reminds us of karma. It reminds us of our limitation because Pluto reminds us of our fear. If you look into the word the plutocracy, it's about hidden wealth, it's about hidden power, it's about what's beyond the surface. And that's what Pluto reminds us of. That's the energetic signature of Pluto. It's this root system, what's beneath the hidden motivation, the hidden desires, the soul desires that we don't normally understand because it's unconscious until we make it conscious. Pluto has a lot to do with money, the plutocracy again, but it's more about the hidden wealth. It shows us where we feel disempowered because it reminds us that within this disempowerment, we can take back our power, that we have always had that power. That power has always been within, but we have to go through this rite of passage. And Pluto is slow because if you think of a large chunk of like a tree that falls in the forest. It takes eons, ages, for that tree to decompose and decay. And that's what Pluto is too, because it moves really slow. So it teaches us deep time, it teaches us patience, it teaches us death and rebirth through decay, through transformation. And Pluto retrograding, it happens every year, not the same as Venus. Venus retrogrades every 584 days, Mars retrogrades every 2.5 years. Mercury retrogrades 3 times a year, so we feel this more because these are personal planets, meaning they're still within Jupiter, within Saturn. But for Pluto, when it retrogrades, it's months at a time, not just days, like months at a time, and it happens every year. And even when we think about Pluto's orbit, like we're going to have Pluto in Aquarius for the next 20 years. And it's like, what, 258 years, give or take, for Pluto to just um, complete one orbit. So this is long. This is an undercurrent, right? Pluto is what's hidden in the surface. And so there is a huge opportunity for us. As Pluto retrogrades, Pluto has been slowing down since February, by the way. It's been in shadow since February. So it hasn't moved from 3 degrees of Aquarius. And now Venus moving into Aries on that week after Venus kisses with Neptune, it's also sextiling Pluto. It's going to move in a sextile to Pluto. And so when we say conjunctions, this is a seed. When planets meet, it's like a new moon. When they conjoin, they're planting a new seed because they're starting a new cycle. While planets are sextile, they're 60 degrees from each other. This is opportunity where opportunity meets action. It's not a passive opportunity compared to a trine, which is what's a trine? 120 degrees. Where a trine is also a harmonious aspect, a sextile is also a harmonious aspect, but there is action that needs to be done from your end. And so when Pluto stations retrograde, we have that Venus sextile. There is some sense of action that we need to take. So Venus, like Karina said, rules our relationships. It's the mirror, it's money, it's our abundance story. Our abundance story is very much tied to our worth story. And with Pluto stationing retrograde, it reminds us that our worth story is also very much tied to our collective karmic story. And I think I can talk for an hour just excavating. Pluto rules Scorpio. So there's a lot of excavation, there's a lot of karmic repatterning, rerooting, uprooting to replant that is being asked for us to do. This is a deep assessment of our collective and personal stories around power. And right now, those who have money hold power. That's the reality. That's the version of reality that's being perpetuated by the plutocracy. And with this whole cosmic energy of planting new dream seeds and Pluto in Aquarius, which is a collective energy, Aquarius has to do with tribe, resonance, frequency, technology, innovation, genius, outside the box thinking. It's I'm getting chills by just sharing this. We are being reminded that the many hold the power, no longer the few. Pluto has left Capricorn, and that's what Pluto in Capricorn is teaching us. It it transformed the hierarchical power structures because now it's revisioning, it's reweaving a new power story around the minority, around the collective, around decentralized autonomous organizations. And we're seeing this so much. There's so many small communities that are mushrooming, that are decentralizing from the system, and they're creating their new power structure. And we're just going to see this a lot. And I think we're also seeing this in the global stage. So much of the youth are rising, so much of the The collective is waking up, essentially. And I will stop there and let me know what you think. Like, how is it landing in your body?
As you're talking about, the power is with the more, not anymore with just a few. I'm thinking about this account that I follow called Girls That Invest by this amazing woman, Simran Kaur. And she is from New Zealand and she is sharing with women how to invest and how to make money. And she is so transparent with how much money she has made and with the way that she makes money and all of this. And I think this is what we're moving towards more heartfelt leaders sharing what their strategy is and how it can help more people. And this is very different from um like Instagram reels being like what you're doing wrong on your Instagram or how you can get more viewership on your Instagram. That's very different
Mm-hmm.
from teaching a community something that's actually going to benefit them and give them value. And
Mm-hmm.
this is a big theme, right? When we're talking about Taurus, but also when we're talking about all the fixed signs, when we're talking about Aquarius, Scorpio, Taurus, and Leo, like value is a big theme that comes up. And these fixed signs have been huge. I mean, we're recording this on what even is the date? We're recording this on the 29th, and yesterday we had the new moon in Taurus, and the day before yesterday we had Mars opposite Pluto,
Yeah.
and Mars is in Leo and Pluto is in Aquarius. So these fixed themes, these fixed energies are really loud. And as we were talking about in the last episode, the release is in Scorpio. And when we think about Scorpio, it's this need for vulnerability, but also this feeling of I can't be vulnerable because I need to protect myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think this is a great week. This first week of the month is a great week to think about like, what does vulnerability look like to us? And
Mm-hmm.
who are the people that we feel like we can be vulnerable with? Who are the people that we feel like we can start um, I don't know, we can start like having deeper conversations with to be able to kind of um just start helping more. I don't know. That's kind of what's coming up
Mm-hmm.
for me. And also just thinking about this energy of Venus conjunct Neptune. It's very like I've seen what hasn't worked, and so now I'm going to take the reins. And
Right.
I don't need anyone else to be behind me when I take the reins. And the beautiful part is when we approach it that way, then there are people that actually want to be behind us and that want to support us. And that's very Pluto retrograde. I also want to say that for Pluto retrograde, a big theme that feels like it's coming up is tapping deeper into our authenticity and noticing like the communities that we have consciously or unconsciously or subconsciously been building and becoming aware of how that is either improving or taking away from our frequency because with Aquarius it's frequency and with Pisces, it's like frequency and energy are loud. It's loud. We can feel it in our bodies. And when there is dissonance, we can feel that in our bodies. So I think this
Mm-hmm.
first week is a great week to first think about what does vulnerability mean to us? And second, become aware of what does resonance feel like in our body and what does dissonance feel like in our body? Because again, Taurus, body, right?
I love that. I love that. I feel like as you were talking, I've been feeling into like a spiritual detox of some sense. Like, where are we ready to release? Because Venus is, at least this week, Venus is leaving Pisces. And I think I talk about this all the time here. Pisces is like this cosmic toilet waste, like waste cycler. Um and especially the 29 degree, like we're going to be playing around with so much 29, 28, 29, 0 degrees of all these signs. And these are loud, compressed, kind of feel like a cosmic whirlwind waste feeling. Like that's what I'm feeling in my body. It's like there's a black hole, and that black hole wants, if you're not conscious, you can be sucked into its energy, But early on, while you're still not within that gravitational pull, you can get yourself out. And so this May is a powerful month to make sure that you're not going to be sucked into that vortex, because when Saturn enters Aries, which is going to happen at the end of May, this is going to be a totally different energy. So whatever that we're needing to close, detox, integrate, I hope you're listening to us now. I hope you take heed. This is just an invitation. That's what's coming up for me. Like, yeah.
Okay, let's move into the second week of May. Big things happening on the second week of May. And as you guys know, if you've been listening, we mostly just cover when planets move to different signs and conjunctions, because it gets to be a lot if we're doing conjunctions, oppositions, trines, sextiles. We want to make it as simple as possible for you. So, second week of May, the biggest things we have happening: Mercury conjunct or beside Chiron in Aries. And on the 10th, we have Mercury moving into Taurus, bringing in some fresh new energy. What do you have to say about the second week of May?
Okay, I'm getting chills because when you mentioned Chiron, this really feels. We also have a full moon week that week, yeah? And that full moon is in Scorpio?
Next week.
Oh, it's the week after.
Yes.
Are we looking at the week after? Okay, so let me back it up. I'm getting way ahead of myself. This just feels to me like the truth can hurt, but truth can heal. With Mercury conjunct Chiron, there can be a lot of tender wounds surfacing, but gives us a new seed, because again, it's a conjunction, like a new cycle around self expression. And that the more that we share our truth, the more healing it can be. Although at first it can feel wounding, it can feel tender, it can feel vulnerable. The more that we express ourselves, the more we take our power back, is what I'm feeling. So old communication wounds can resurface. It can be uncomfortable, but it's very essential, because a healing wave is available if we're willing to speak our truth, especially the most uncomfortable, gunky ones, because, Pluto has just stationed retrograde. So with Mercury entering Taurus too, thoughts can slow down, so we can focus on more practical matters like our money stories. How can we share, be vulnerable around our stories around our worth? Because that's also reflecting how we are attracting money, how we think we are worthy of money and abundance, how we feel where we think that we're worthy to take up space, to share and fully express the fullness of our range. I mean, I've been talking to a lot of people who feel like they need to temper down their magic because they feel like the people around them feel like they're too much. And Karina was just talking about resonance and frequency and environments that are nourishing. Then speak, baby girl. Speak. Because those who feel like you're too much, baby, they're not your people. And perhaps they are too, because the fact that you are triggering them with your too muchness is a reflection where they're not being enough in their own energy, in their own frequency. So it's okay. Your radical authenticity is your power. Pluto in Aquarius. And when you remember that, when you put back together again from the stories that cost you wounding, oh God, oh God, like the future that we can co-create when I am getting chills and my armpits are getting wet. And that happens to me, by the way.
When something is feeling very true.
Yes. So that's a sign from my system that there is some alignment here and there's something very powerful that's coming out from these words. When you speak your truth, when you speak your magic, when you speak and share from your wounding, you wouldn't know the people who can actually be serviced from your story. we don't know the people that we can actually serve and help heal by just allowing yourself to be in your full authenticity with no filter. We are in a phase of filters and masks. And when people see you, they gravitate towards you because you're in resonance, you're stepping into your fullness. And this isn't comfortable at first, but it's totally, totally essential and necessary.
Yes, exactly. All of this. And you said voice, like using our voice. This is crucial. I mean, Taurus lives in our throat. This is a great season to sing again, talk again, use your voice again in whatever way feels good, in whatever way nurtures you. And something I always like to bring up when we're talking about Chiron is Chiron starts as the wounded healer and then becomes the healing healer and then becomes the healed healer. And so it can show up when Mercury is conjunct Chiron. It can show up as any of these three octaves. It can show up as, ouch, why would you say that to me? It can
Mm,
show up as, oh, I see what you're pointing out. And maybe I haven't noticed that about myself yet. Or it can look like, hey, I used to have that wound. Let me help you work with it as well. So it could look like any of the three, depending on how we're approaching it, and depending on if we did that homework for the first week of May, thinking about what allows us to feel vulnerable and who are the people that we want to allow ourselves to feel vulnerable with. Because, like you said, sometimes people are just not our people, and that is okay. But the people that are our people, they'll be the ones cheering us on to get bigger, to get brighter. How too big is not even big enough because you can grow even bigger. Your energy can be louder, your energy can be brighter. And this is what this Pluto retrograde to me is calling in. These
mm,
people that will encourage us and empower us to just keep sharing our voice, even when it triggers them,
mm,
especially when it triggers them, because then they get an opportunity to grow as well. And as people that enjoy growth, we need to support ourselves with and surround ourselves with more people that enjoy growing, even though growth can look uncomfortable a lot of the time, which brings us into the next week, which kind of follows into this theme of like growth feeling uncomfortable and
mm.
vulnerability and depths and emotions and healed healers or like healing healers or like wounded healers. It's all of it coming together and we can take it as we may. And so that week on the 13th, we have the full moon in Scorpio. It's going to be at 12:55 a.m. Philippine time at 22 degrees and 12 minutes. And then we have a few days with like nothing going on because I feel like the energy and the impact of this full moon and not nothing going on, okay?
Yeah.
Just no conjunctions. Thea can tell us about more of what's going on. But like I feel like the energy after this full moon is just supportive to integrate that
Yeah.
full moon
Yeah.
that we're being brought. And then on the 18th, big day, we have Sun conjunct Uranus in Taurus. What do you have to say about this week? And what do you have to say about the full moon?
Um, the full moon, I'm seeing that Mercury also squares Pluto and it's opposite Lilith. Wow. I think we talked a lot about suppressed and repressed power and taking back our power through our voice early on, so I probably won't add on to that. But full moons are a time of culmination. It's a completion of a cycle. We started with the Taurus moon, we're culminating it in a Scorpio moon, and Scorpio is all about diving deep. It's Pluto energy, it's excavating. So there can be a lot of emotional revelations around where we struggle with our power and where we've been suppressing, where we've been repressing our power. Also, there can be some sense of financial clarity or clarity around, again, our money stories and our worth stories, our wounds. This is all a build up to it. And that week can be an uncomfortable week, like we said, but Karina said it so beautifully. Growth is uncomfortable at first because we're cracking open, we're breaking open. And on the third week, we are breaking patterns and we're having lightning bolt moments. We are awakening into our power. We are releasing, we've released and we've detoxed and we're clearing and we're making up space for some sense of breakthrough. When Sun conjoins Uranus, this is another seed point, and Uranus energy has a lot to do with Aquarius energy. So Pluto in Aquarius is disposited. When I say disposited, is ruled by um the planet that rules Aquarius. So Uranus rules Aquarius. So in a way, Pluto is answering to Uranus, if you're getting my drift. So if the planet of death and rebirth and transformation is answering to or looking up to the planet that rules revolution, rebellion, energy, genius, sudden breakthroughs, insights, nervous system energy, it can also be genius energy. It's energy of frequency. Go figure. So this week can be um, a week of sudden insights. We can have unexpected changes. We can have unexpected breakthroughs. We're releasing from power struggles. We're releasing from attachments to control and old fears. We're breaking up with old narratives because we are opening up to some sense of innovation. We're clearing our frequency to be in resonance with some energies that we want to call in. These are what's coming up for me for this week.
Hmm. I feel like with Scorpio, we always get, taboo topics coming up. And so this week, I feel like maybe a week where we get topics that, again, will feel uncomfortable, that will feel, maybe they won't feel uncomfortable, but maybe they'll feel like, oh, I haven't thought about this in a while, but this is a very important thing to think about, especially when it comes to my body, or
Mm,
especially when it comes to my voice, especially when it comes to my heart, all these Taurus themes with this. I think it's just so powerful to have a sun conjunct Uranus after a full moon. It's like the full moon is showing us what's up, and then this is like, oh, you forgot something. Let me share with you this as well. And I mean, the polarity that we have at work here, right? The full moon is in Scorpio. We have to talk about this polarity and about how, for me, this polarity is about safety, it's about security. But with Scorpio, it's about emotional security. And with Taurus, it's about material security. And as much as we like to deny it, these two play into each other. And so, again, the value of this, like getting clear on this money story. And when we say, or when we're talking about this money story or like anything Taurian, I think it's a great idea to write it down and have these conversations with yourself on paper. Because, like we're saying, Taurus is tangible, it's physical. And so when you're writing it down, you're much more clear on what's going on rather than when you're thinking it. You can kind of feel like you're going to combust, and it can feel pretty overwhelming, especially with Scorpio and with all of that, Plutonic and Martian energy going on. Again, also a great month to move our bodies if we're able to. If we're not able to, that's fine. But if we are able to, I think this will diffuse a lot of the tension that is sparking in the air.
mhm.
Okay, moving on to the next week. We have the week of the 19th. On this week, we have the sun moving into Gemini on the 21st. And then on the 25th, that's my dad's birthday, we have Mercury conjunct Uranus and Saturn moves into Aries. Saturn will re enter Pisces actually in September, and then will re enter Aries in February, on February 14. But we have from May 25 until September to work with this energy of Saturn in Aries. All right, where do you want to start with this week?
I feel like it's such a like week by week is always such a beautiful build up. Like because this week we have new voices. We are reclaiming some sense of new voice. We're laying new roots. We're committing to growth and we're making bold choices. Or at least we're being urged to make bolder choices. Sun entering Gemini, that can feel like a shift to faster moving energy. That's going to be a different flavor from Sun in Taurus that has asked us to slow down, to presence our wounds, to presence our money stories. Sun entering Gemini can be a lot of talky talk, but I hope we can use it as that energy to shift into the new voice that we have reclaimed for ourselves after all the excavating and the healing work that we're doing. This is big though. Saturn entering Aries. This is 2.5 years of a new era of taking courageous, bold, inspiring, disciplined action. And this is a major shift because, again, Saturn teaches us some sense of karma. So, like new karmic lessons around self leadership, responsibility for our personal desires, like how are we initiating for ourselves, like that follow me energy that Karina was sharing early on, like how are we just trailblazing that path for ourselves without caring so much about validation or when you or if you have followers, because when you are so authentic and when you are so bold in your energy, in your sovereignty, which is a lot of Aries energy. Aries is the I am spark, leader, self leadership, self agency. It's actually when you get a following because people resonate with your leadership. People get to resonate and value your expertise because you're showing up as a leader for yourself. You are inspiring others to show up as a leader for themselves too. This is 2.5 years of that, like you said, but Saturn is still going to go back to Pisces for some unfinished business. But when Saturn enters Aries on this week of May, invitation to invite you to say it out loud, own it, and then act on it. When I say act on it, like what is the next bold move? Doesn't have to be big, doesn't have to be like life threatening because Aries and our nervous system is has a lot to do with our fight response. So like say say your dreams out loud, own it, feel into it with your body, and then ground and anchor it right away with the next bold move. That's my practical cosmic invitation.
Again, with this week, I feel like if we have been doing the work previous weeks, it kind of flows and comes naturally because if we have started using our voice, if we have started talking about not just our money story, but our worthiness, our values, our boundaries. And even if it's just talking about these things to ourselves, once the sun moves into Gemini, it's almost like our brain already knows what to do, and
Mm,
our nervous system feels prepared to carry that out rather than in a state of like frazzlement and being like, oh my God, now how do I do this? Because week by week, we've kind of been preparing for it. We have been, the reason we do this is to share with you the calls of the astrology. And so if we have been listening to the calls of the astrology, then the astrology will also kind of listen to our calls. It's a give and take with this
yes.
universe, isn't it? It always is. And so this week I feel like is a very fertile week still. Like, even though the sun is no longer going to be in Taurus, we still have this Uranus conjunct Mercury, which will be disrupting old stories, disrupting
Mm,
old words. This is a great day to get in and maybe reread your journal and look at the words that have been repeating themselves and check if those words are giving you power or if they're taking away your power. And if they are taking away your power, this is a great day to put in new words, new structures, especially with Saturn moving into Aries. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It is the beginning, right? And Saturn is the grandpa. Saturn is like, I've been through this before. I know how to handle this. So with Saturn going into Aries, like this grandpa going into the sign of the baby, Saturn's like, I know exactly how to handle this. But I feel like it could also look like going head to head with ourselves, because these are two very big energies that are coming together. Plus, it happens the same day as this conjunction with Uranus.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is a day that I also want to say, like, tread lightly. I mean, it's a 2.5 year transit, like you said. So, it's like nothing too urgent. We don't need to get on anything right now, but we will start feeling these calls of, how can I stand up taller? How can I say more? How can I show up in a way that actually feels more resonant? Because that's
Mm.
what we were working on the first week. This last week, it kind of starts to come full circle, and that resonance starts to echo out. And we are starting to see more of this community that is feeling the resonance, because with Gemini, we see community, we see local community, and we're going to start seeing how our words are really what's mirroring like the
Mm-hmm.
people that we need to be around. Um, I wanted to say something else, but I lost it. So let's go into the next. What I wanted to
Okay.
say is, um, if you have Saturn and Aries, welcome to your Saturn return. This is going to be 2.5 years of really, really relearning who you are and getting clear about how you want to show up. So the rest of us are going to be doing this too, but if you have Saturn in Aries, that means this is the first time, or maybe the second time, that Saturn is coming back to where it was when you were born, checking in and being like, hey, so have you been working on your purpose? Whatever that purpose is, right? Whatever that like deep call, whatever that work that you know you're meant to do is, Saturn's going to be like, hey, have you been doing it? And if not, no better time to start than Saturn in Aries.
Oh my gosh, I also wanted to add in because when you said urgency, oh my gosh, this can really feel like everything's urgent. Like Sun moving in Gemini and then Saturn moving in a fire sign after being in water for so long. It has felt like, I don't know about you, if you've been feeling like you've been like a duck in a pond where you seem like it looks like you're coasting, but underneath you're making you're
Not coasting.
yeah, no. And the like this feeling of just trying so much to keep your head above water. Saturn is going to be so happy in Aries because finally it's a fire sign. But on this first burst of energy, it can feel like a lot and it can feel like everything is urgent. So I hope that you take our invitation and you really work with Taurus energy, be in your body so that you can come from a space of discernment and know that, wait a minute, let me ground my action, let me respond to this and not react to this because Aries can be very reactive energy. Yeah, I think I needed to put that in.
Yeah, that is really important. And we will be building up to Saturn meeting Neptune, but I feel like that doesn't happen till June-ish or
um
July.
they fly they kiss here and there, but the exact is on January of 2026. So yeah, we're building
Okay,
up to
we
that
have a
energy.
while.
Yeah.
We have a while, but we're building up to it.
So we're
And I
feeling it.
mean, we are feeling it. We are feeling this Aries. We're feeling Aries. I mean, for so long we've been feeling Pisces. So it is a welcome change, but it is also like it's hot.
It is.
It's hot. Okay, last week of May, my girl, we made it. So on the last week of May, we have Mercury moving into Gemini on the 26th. On the next day, the 27th, we have new moon in Gemini. That's happening at 11:02 a.m. Philippine time at 6 degrees and 5 minutes. And then that Friday, 30th, we have Mercury Cazimi. So the
Mm.
sun is meeting Mercury in Gemini, and Gemini rules Mercury. So this could be a day for such beautiful conversations with ourselves and with people that, I mean, I think it's a great day to have conversations with people that we see eye to eye to, and also a great day to have conversations with people that we don't see eye to eye to, because if we approach it with this Gemini curiosity, there's just so much
Mm.
to be learned.
Yeah, yeah. And the moon, while all of this is happening, the moon is in Cancer too. So I feel like we've been talking about planting seeds, rooting, and now with this burst of fresh energy in Gemini, we have new seeds again, new voices, new vision, new seeds, new ideas, new social circles, new ways of learning and speaking. And that Kazimi, we are being given a fresh mental garden for powerful conversations, writing, speaking, networking. This is very supportive, I feel like, for launching projects, sharing ideas, building new bridges,
New
create.
social media
Oh
strategies.
my God. My mic agrees. Creating new stories, like a new story, like a new manifesto. Like, who are you becoming? Saturn in Aries, like who is this new you? Like what is this new do that you're gonna be wearing and donning on? Like how can you commit to one form of self-expression?
Write
Is
a
what
book.
but write a book, publish something, get yourself out there. The moon is in Cancer. It can be very supportive. It's gonna remind you that hey, there's fertile ground for some nourishing support. Um Yeah, that's what's coming to me. Like there's power behind words. Mercury is trining Pluto also.
What do you have to say about the new moon?
Um it really feels very fresh. It feels fresh to launch stuff like Gemini. So communication, a new strategy. Like you said, social media, get yourself out there, start speaking more, start showing up more because this can open up new circles. Like you can find your people, but your people are not going to find you if you're going to stay silent. So there's power in words, there's power in launching a new sense of identity or like a new voice, a new idea, a new project. Um, are the energies that's coming to me. That's coming up for you. Ooh, Venus is approaching Chiron. Let's get there when that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I love all of that. And just, I really love, and I already brought this up, but I'm going to bring it back up. When Gemini is at play, curiosity is so, so, so important, because a lot can get lost in words, a lot can get lost in the mind. And if we approach it from a place of, I already know,
Mm,
we're gonna get nowhere. Gemini is the student of the zodiac. Gemini has all the information, but the reason that Gemini has all the information is because Gemini is willing to listen or
mm,
willing to search.
mm,
Um, but the thing with Gemini is there is this back and forth of like, you don't really know. Like, they can say one thing and do another, and can say, oh, I never said this. And during Gemini season, we're all kind of prone to that, prone to being like
mm, mm,
saying one thing and then being like, oh, I never said that. So be clear about what you're saying. Again, if you did the work in the first week, if you did the work about like getting clear about what does resonance feel like to you, then through this last week, you're gonna know. You're just gonna know in your nervous system, like, when things feel right. And you're also going to have this ability to listen deeper, to
mm,
listen to something Navs always tells me is, I tell you things for you to listen, not to respond, but to listen, to hear me, and to listen, right? And I think that's a big theme that's going to be coming up this month, not just for ourselves with our partners, but we can only do it with our partners or our friends if we are doing it with ourselves. So, again, these mirrors are coming to play. And I want to say that the Gemini new moon and Gemini Kazemi, sorry, Mercury Kazemi, great day again to redefine our words, maybe create your own dictionary of your 10 favorite words that you want to make sure that you're using every day or every week, because words are spells and it's never more true than it is in Gemini
In
season.
Gemini season. I love it. Mercury is at home in Gemini. Mercury rules Gemini. So work with your Mercury. Um, Time to figure out where your Mercury is, what element your Mercury is in, like what sign your Mercury is in, and try to embody more of that so that you can work with the energy, especially there's a Kazimi. And I really want to stress, like, I think this is something that this is something that I ask a lot in this podcast with you is like, who are you becoming? Like, who are you becoming? Can we clarify that? Can we get to the bottom of our why and the motivation behind why we do what we do? Because these aren't passive energies, and these energies are asking us to be more conscious co-creators with everything else, everyone else, especially yourself. So, who are you becoming? What messages are you here to spread? How might you commit to building structures around your self expression and getting yourself out there more, being a leader of your life? I am loving that exercise of creating that, creating your own dictionary and like really being careful and conscious of the words that you use when you define things, especially yourself. Like, what are the words you put after I am? Like, I am this. Those are so powerful words. Like, it's those words are so powerful energetically because again, we're in this period of time where frequency is loud and we are being invited to be in resonance with the frequency and energy that we want to call in. So I hope I hope we've given you a map of what May is gonna look like because it's gonna be May soon.
We're
and
about to be there.
and yeah, so many shifts. I feel like change is a non-negotiable anymore. Um, by end of May, and it's gonna be clear. It's just things are just gonna be made clear where we're needing to pivot, and the more we resist, um, I don't want to continue that sentence, but essentially, change is becoming a non negotiable and resistance may be futile, but you still have the power to choose.
I think that's a great way to end. I think that the power of choice is something that we often forget we have as humans, and it's the biggest gift that we have. And if we're being passive, that is a choice. If we're being active, that is a choice. So, what are you choosing? That's a
Mm.
great, great, great line to just come back to for me again and again. All right, Thea, this has been awesome. To close and to round up, what are your 3 words for me?
Ooh, power, voice, and leadership.
Ooh, love those. Okay, for me, I'm gonna say breakthroughs,
Mm.
um, value,
Mm.
and curiosity.
Love.
All right. Thank you. I always love doing these episodes with you. I am so appreciative. I am so excited to record a June overview with you. But until then, thank you all for being here with us. Thea, if they want to work with you or find you, where can they find you again?
They can find me on Instagram at Soul Soil TLC. That's it for now.
And I want to say, because I was mentioning it to someone, how you say from girl boss to girl moss, and I just love that so much. So that's something that Thea says. If you resonate with that line, you're gonna love working with her.
Yep, yep, yep. Oh, and I'll be launching my website on the 29th for sure. Maybe the 28th or the 29th. So definitely more about that when it gets there. When it gets there. But for now, you can catch me on Instagram.
I love that. I love how we're always on parallels. I will also be launching my website very soon, sometime in May. So keep an eye out for both of our websites. You'll be able to work with both of us more easily. Thank God. We've been on this journey with our websites for years.
I think it was just really meant to be at this time. Like
No
things
better time than
happen.
now.
Yeah, no better time than May, I feel like. And so and here we are talking about getting ourselves out there. I mean, we have been doing the work, so yeah, we're excited. We're excited for each other, and we're excited to be of service in a more grounded and embodied way. Mm.
Yes, I love it. All right. Thank you, Thea. I appreciate you as always. Have the best day.